Good morning and welcome. You are with the Skeinz Diaries here on a Thursday morning, 26th of October, Labour weekend, anniversary weekend done and dusted. And the best part is it's the last weekend of the month, which always means that we are can be a little bit crazy and go and get flocked. How are you?
Woo! Let's get flocked.
Oh, let's go get
I'm great.
flocked.
How are you?
I'm good. Finally I'm getting in the spring vibe of things now.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
feeling sort of, it's supposed to be
Same. I have a
27
spring
degrees here
jumper on
today.
even. Look at it. Like I'm not even wearing a cardigan over top of it. It's 20 degrees. So like I didn't put on a shawl or a hat today.
Boom. I know. Yeah, no,
Sane and normal.
we're supposed to be 27 here today. And yeah, it's nice and warm. And it was warm yesterday, and the cherry tree is flowering in the backyard, and it kind of feels
So
like
good.
life is a little bit more optimistic. And
Yeah.
that is looking good. It's so nice. I've seen that in pieces for
Yeah.
so long.
Well, this is, I think, not one of my longest whips because I think the winner still goes to that Michelle Wang cardigan that took me 6 years to complete. Michelle, I will be sending you the bill for therapy later. Um, but this one is a close second. I started this in March, maybe sooner. I don't know. If someone remembers when I cast this on, congratulations. This is the funny part. And Marie sees this happen. I should tell all of you who are watching this, if you ever ask me how long it took me to knit something, and I say a very specific time, if it's anything more than 6 days, I guarantee you I don't know how long it took me to knit it. I just pick a time. Like I just pick random dates because like gun to my head, I could never tell you when I've cast anything on. Like we do this for a living, guys. We're constantly randomly starting projects only to have to abandon them. Cause like part of the process working in the industry is you make things and then partway through you're like, oh, I've already sold out of this yarn. And then you have to like pivot to making something else. And
I
so then
know.
you come back to it and you're like, oh God. And like it'll be months later. You'll finally have a gap in your schedule, as I did for finishing this, and then you'll get it done. And then people will ask you, how long did that take to make? I don't know. Like, are you sitting, if you're at home and you're watching, and if you're not at home and you're somehow watching this, like if you're hiding in the Skane shop but watching on your phone, that's your problem. Um, but, and you know to a day how long it took you to make something, we need to talk. You're not well. Just kidding.
Oh, I know what it's like. See, this is part of the reason why I don't have too many whips at any one time.
Yeah.
I just can't. I'm hopeless. Well, in saying that though, I have had the odd project, like, like I mean,
Oh,
this took 2 lockdowns to do. So
well, that's true.
yeah, so I do live in that glass house from time to time. Well, we're still in the middle of poncho craziness.
Oh,
Yeah, because we've been
yes.
doing, and it's, oh my gosh, and a lot of them are getting finished now, and they're looking so good. And
So exciting.
I know, and I'm actually sort of kind of patting myself on the back and feeling a little proud that I
Yeah.
finally
Wrote a pattern down and got it.
got it out of the head and written down, which, it only took 6 years. I mean, I don't know what people are complaining about. So I
Everyone, this is an improvement on the last timeline. Just never forget. It is actually getting better. Just hold
so I'm
yourselves.
still going. I'm over halfway though. So there we go.
Oh, yeah. You're
Get
making
there.
great time though.
Yeah. No,
That's
it is.
coming out so
And it's
cute.
nice, for me, I'm just finding it nice relaxing knitting, and I'm already look, this is bad though, I'm already casting my mind to what next, which is naughty. I know, yeah. But anyway,
I'm
I
the
think
wrong
you
person. I'm the wrong person to ask right now because I have a pattern coming out tomorrow.
exactly, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, so Catharsis comes out tomorrow, the Catharsis pullover. So for those of you who were stressed out by the idea of knit flat color work, good news, now it's just knit flat every row cables, which means that you're cabling on the wrong side, you'll be fine. Please send hate mail to noragon@gmail.com. No, don't. In my defense, it was her idea first. I just ran with it. So it's a cabled all over drop shoulder. We all know that I'm a huge fan of the drop
Mm.
shoulder for a lot of reasons, especially after working my way through this delightful, well written, beautifully drafted Jared Flood pullover, where halfway through you realize that he's intentionally done a thing where the number of rows at each piece won't correspond to each other so that it makes a specific shape. And then you have to figure out how to ease that sucker together. So, for your convenience, I have not done that. There is no saddle to deal with coming out of a raglan. Why? Like, first of all, the why behind this jumper is so that if you were out skiing, literally you can raise your arm all the way up and down without your jumper moving, which is unusual. However, how many times have you been out skiing in just a knit sweater? For me, shockingly, never. Anyway, not the point. Catharsis is out tomorrow. Drop shoulder, knit flat construction, high round crew neck, with a picked up and knit downward sleeve in reverse stockinette with a what I refer to as a seam channel. It's a new idea that I'm playing with where I'm actually making a reverse stockinette into a stockinette before the selvage so that as you seam the selvage, the entire thing rolls on itself and
Oh,
the reverse stockinette closes over it so that
yes.
on the inside it's smooth and on the outside it's smooth. So this is not a new concept. It's just something that everyone stopped doing. I'm pretty certain that I owe a debt of gratitude for this one to Kim Hargreaves, circa 1981, on her first Rowan
Mm.
launch when she did that really basic knit flat cardigan that had launched 1,000 cardigans into the world. Um, so anyway, that's ready. Next week, I have a new pattern that came out last week, which is called the strip cowl. The sample's at the shop. You should go check that out. And if you're a glutton for punishment, I have one more new pattern ready to go.
Ooh, what's this? This looks good.
This is the High Street pullover. So this is the fingering weight version of my classic Aran weight
Orange
pullover.
pullover. Yep.
Yeah, which is getting a new name because it turns out when you call something the Aran pullover, because you're trying to be clear and have it make sense, that when you search for it, every Aran stitch pullover ever designed shows up before yours. And shockingly, everyone, I'm not as famous as Alice Starmore. Um, so it's a lot of jumpers to scroll through. But this is High Street. So this is a fully knit flat, fully seamed, fingering weight pullover. No gimmicks, no nothing. It's classic. So it's all knits, purls, knit two togethers, and slip knits. The only technical bit are the two cast-ons, which there's a 2x2 tubular cast-on for the bottom hem so that it adds weight to the bottom of your garment, everyone. And also because when we block out a 2x2 tubular cast-on, it maintains its width, where when we block out a 1x1 cast-on, it rebounds. And so if you're somebody who does not want tightness across the hips or lower belly, this is the design for you. It's a very old school classic square shape with a Savile Row tailored shoulder. So it's a square box shoulder. So that's this little detail right there that if you're a really big sewing nerd, you'll recognize that I stole this from a tailored jacket. And that's it. That's the whole trick. The trick is there is no trick. It's a 3.25 millimeter needle, which is the classic 4-ply gauge needle. So 26 inches to the 10 centimeters. And you will never be happier.
Yeah.
Honestly, I actually have to force myself to put on other jumpers now. I must admit, I don't know about the rest of you. I have been finding more and more over time that a lot of the things I'm making, they're not sitting as well as I want. They're not behaving the way that I want them to. I've clearly been moving away from the seamless construction, except for raglans, which is a separate story. And I'm just going to be doing what I think is the right thing and ignoring everything else going forward. So,
Did you do that one
yep,
in pieces again?
yep. This is knit flat, fully seamed. So it's four rectangles. To quote our good friend Julie Hoover, uh, four rectangles of stockinette seamed together that makes a totally new thing every time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she does it. I'm taking a page out of her book and honestly, a page out of Susan Crawford's book. And I'm trying to find a medium place between them. So, for those of you who don't know, Susan Crawford is really great at taking vintage patterns at their original gauges and grading them out to fit more bodies. Now, remember that fat people still existed when these vintage patterns were written, just one size was presented and people made their own modifications, right? So it's a different system of doing things. what Susan's doing is she's going back to those patterns that have one or maybe two sizes if you're lucky, and she is extending the ranges out and re-knitting them in modern constructed yarn, because we also don't make yarn the same way anymore,
No.
which is really important to remember, guys. So yarns have changed significantly. For those of you who have the joy of actual tactile memories of Peyton's Beehive, what are some of the Exmoor classic, some real dark horse
Oh,
yarns that are out there.
Kaiapoi, Fontana were all big ones down here.
Fontana, yeah. So
Mm.
when you're dealing with those older yarns, making these transitions is difficult. So what I'm trying to do is create knit basics that you can actually wear every day, and also ones that take the wild yarns of today and turn them into something wearable.
Well, what I love about that high street pullover though is that I mean, it's the striping. You can play with color. You can play with, you can use up,
Exactly.
I mean, if you wanted to do some fun, funky striping with a unicorn skein, you could do that too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm looking at that, and the first thing that pops into my head straight away is Eros or our alpaca Mahana would be
Yeah,
incredible in that.
exactly. If you've got dip dyes sitting at home that you haven't found a use for from those beautiful dip dyes that you guys did, this is a
Mm.
great pullover to slap those in. A cardigan version is coming, a V-neck cardigan and a round neck cardigan. So one of my test knitters has already started on it. Um, and don't worry, everyone, poor Kathy is hard at work on the second sample. Poor Kathy. Doomed. Doomed to deal with the fact that I'm like, you know what's a great idea? Fingering weight stockinette forever on a tiny needle. But I try to say that last part quietly when I'm pitching this idea to people. But anyway, yeah. So Flocktober has been running. I don't know. I've been so busy. I don't know about you. I've just been so busy. No
I was
time to
just
breathe.
it
Oh,
has been really crazy. So we've been doing a spring sale all this month, which has been
mm,
great. So we've had Cove that's all gone, pretty much. I think there's only a couple of shades left at 2.95. So you guys need to get the skates on because that disappears at the end of the month, as does the Bloom, which is the super chunky at the other end of the scale. And I had a brainwave. Would you believe? You know how this is the thing, patterns that I know a million people have in their libraries. I mean, who
mm.
not have Hazel by Heidi May in
Oh
their
yeah,
library? Like everyone, right, who's had a
everyone
kid
does.
has that pattern in their library. And I realized the new Bloom that we got in is the exact yarn with the exact gauge for that pattern. And at the time that pattern came out, hardly,
Oh,
there was like Malibu Go
yeah,
Raster, which was expensive. And I suddenly thought, oh my gosh, everybody's got this in there. So some people have been getting Bloom and whacking those out nice, quick
so
and fast.
good.
So good and fast for Christmas. I've just gone and put our blankets back up half price. We're doing another 4-dayer with those. And
So
we're
good.
going to also, so don't quickly rush because we're just waiting by the end of the day. And by the time the newsletter goes out, we are also going to be doing 20% off all our Lothlorien. So there's more to go up. So at the moment, there's none showing because we've pulled it all down to get everything loaded up. And we're
Mm,
just doing it because we know a whole heap of people are already starting to think about Christmas. They're wanting to get a jump on it. They're wanting to get bits and bobs.
yeah,
I know you and I had this chat about accessories and stuff in the shop. So
yeah.
that will be going up for just the 4 days, and what was there was something else, but anyway, this and I've got some and that high street pullover. I've got a yarn coming next month from next week that will be perfect for that high street pullover. So I'm really excited about that, and I've got a new dip coming out too, which will be perfect for that
Yes.
pullover. Yay!
Oh my
So
God.
stop
You know what
it.
the best part is, everyone? We never plan any of this.
No, no. I don't. I'm going to have to pull. I'm actually going to have to buy that because it's going to be good. It will be ideal.
I love it.
I've picked out my summer holiday project, which is a stranded Colourworks Swancho. I'm going to do the Herbalist. I know, by Olga Potato.
So good.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's just and I mean, a Swancho is good for me, good shaping
You
for
love a
me.
Swancho.
I do love me a Swancho, and you'll just be
Yeah.
so pleased to know I'm not knitting enough note.
Yeah, honestly. Oh.
No, no, I've got
I
that out
have
of my
been
system.
I have been pushed by 1,001 people lately. We had the lovely Katrine from Yarn Floozy in at the shop, which is always a blessing. If you don't know Katrine, you haven't met her, make sure that next time you're in an event to go and get some yarn from her. You can also find her a couple of days a week at our friendly friend shop, Lupine. And anyway, so I had the joy of Katrine for a couple of days. Surprisingly, I have almost almost no yarn left. Y'all love yarn, which is great. But I actually brought home yarn that's sitting somewhere in the, and when I say everyone, the pile of yarn next to where I sit, it's not an exaggeration. I have like 3 laundry baskets just full of yarn. Everything's in project bags and sorted, but there's 3 laundry baskets of yarn just sitting next to where I sit and knit. It's not great. It's only 30% spin cycle, so we're fine. Yikes. But I got yarn to make. I'm glad you're sitting down. You're not ready because I'm going to knit an Elton cardigan.
Did you get mohair
Yeah,
from here as well?
I did.
Oh.
I don't know what is happening. We're going to play around with some mohair and see what happens. Like, yeah, it's been really fun now again. And I think I've talked, maybe I haven't talked about this yet, but it's been really great. It's really invigorating to your knitting when you have access to lots of different bases, um, which is awesome. And
Mm.
one of the things when you transition in this industry from one position to another, no matter what you're doing, is new yarns come into your life again. And so I'm having a big old play with everything that I've got available to me. And it's great. And one of the things that I think people don't necessarily grasp about what makes Skeinz so awesome to deal with is that you guys always have something new coming out. There's always
Mm.
a new base to play with. There's always a change, a shift, even though we've got that great core range that we can all rely on from you and I, and we're always adding new things. And so it's really exciting. And I also have been considering getting my hands on some Eros to knit something because,
Well, funny because the high street pullover, it would be perfect
yeah,
with Ross
it would
with you.
make a really cute hair
So
cardigan
good with
version.
Eros, yeah. Hey, no,
Mm.
I Pauline, hello, Pauline saying, I hope our parcels arrive today, ordered on Thursday. Yeah, they depending on, I think you're South Island, Pauline, it should be too far away. Just remember, what you may not have remembered is that we had an extra public holiday here in Hawke's Bay. So that meant that your parcel wouldn't have been dispatched until most likely on Tuesday. So,
Hmm.
yeah, so that's why there is the delay
And
there.
there
Because
are service delays across both islands this week, everybody. So just be patient. The courier networks have been reporting big, big delays. So if your parcel has to go through the hands of a couple of the different chains to
Mm.
get anywhere, you might just have some
I know
minor
that there's been
hiccups.
some issues with sailings and stuff like that as well, with bad
Yeah.
weather and wind and what have you,
Yeah. And the
but
high wind apparently damaged a bunch of planes.
ooh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be having high winds again here today, but it's not, it's good as gold here now. Well, this is
Oh,
no,
it's
it is
frisky here in Christchurch.
I know, see, and this is the thing I've got right now is because I'm finishing this up, right?
Hmm.
And I have to say, I am really thrilled at because I decided to do the striping all over, and I had a single 100 gram skein all of these, and I
Oh.
won't need to do anything more. So look, it's great. I'm still using up this from Shoji. I
It's the
know.
yarn that never stopped.
It is the yarn that never stopped. And I'm liking that fact, but don't laugh.
Mm.
As soon as while you were talking with the high street pullover, all I can think about is doing doing it in the black that we've got. Just a plain, simple
Oh my
black
God, that would be
pullover.
amazing.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Genuinely. I'm really like I surprised myself with this one, guys. I have to be honest. Sometimes as a designer, you think you're doing a good job and then you just accidentally knock it out of the park with a design and there's
Mm.
never any rhyme or reason to it. Um, this is definitely one of those ones where just everything came together to make something that I know is going to stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to stand up with some giants here, and I'm kind of the good, nice thing, I'll be honest, is a lot of designers are stepping away from producing menswear.
Mm.
And you know what the great news is? Menswear pieces fit women's bodies beautifully. So if I design menswear and release it, it actually works as a unisex design.
Mm.
And but genuinely, the biggest mistake I think people make when trying to do unisex designs is they just shoot for way too much ease. as a way to compensate instead of considering fabric first. And because I started this pullover from a swatch and swatched about, and I know this might sound crazy, I used 3 different needles and of 3 different materials in 3 different sizes until I settled on metal on a 3.25 to produce this. And this is the real shocker. It only used 375 grams of yarn, and I made the third size
Mm.
because fingering weight yarn is so efficient at producing fabric.
Yeah.
And we we are very lucky. We get to deal largely with commercially dyed fingering weight yarns, which I love commercially dyed fingering weight yarn. And it's a huge passion of mine. I've always been a big fan of commercially dyed yarn. Those big industrial dyes, they just make these rich, super saturated, intense hues that are what allow us to create that range of shades from the barely there pastel all the way to that deepest, darkest black. And as much as I love hand dyed yarn and I'm enjoying playing with it and having some fun, I'm always going to cycle back to these machine dyed industrial yarns because, you know what, this pullover that I'm wearing is the perfect example.
Mm.
You just can't do this like this without it. If you want that classic, timeless, almost looks like, you wouldn't have seen this out of place at a country, well, if it was 3 shades dimmer, you could buy this at Country Road,
Yeah.
realistically, right? Maybe not. Maybe more of like a Comme des Garçons situation. But it it does come down to this, and we're so lucky to have Skeinz producing these great yarns here in New Zealand for all of us to work with. And I must say, I am a little sad that we're saying goodbye to Cove, although hopefully it's a bye for now, not a bye forever.
It's a hiatus. It is a
Hiatus.
hiatus. We've
Okay.
got a lot of stuff going on hiatus because if we pop them on it's never, I mean, this is us. It's never say never, so we give it a
Yeah.
holiday, send it
Yeah.
off to have a wee break. And
I
then,
just can't wait to see what comes next.
yeah, well, I've got a couple of, we've got a couple of yarns returning actually that we did. Yeah, so we've got the tweed, 10-ply tweed coming back.
Oh,
And love, yeah,
yes.
and that was just every time we've had that. So we actually had a little bit more of the effect fiber there. So we've done another run of that, and we've got a couple of new colors. We've got the with the 4-ply trilobal effect, which sounds not very exciting, but it's got that slight
No,
polyester effect through it. And when we dye it, it gives us this almost little pearlescent.
yeah, like a
Um,
chromatic.
yeah, it's really cute. And
Hmm.
so you guys loved that when we did that the first couple of times. We've repeated the best selling colors in that, introduced a couple of new colors. Plus, we've got the cutest print that we've done in that. So that will all be coming out for 1st of November. So
Great.
and it would look fabulous in that high street pullover. We've got a sock yarn
Should I tell
coming.
them now that there's also a matching hat?
Aha!
I'm just getting through
Yeah,
the sample. Fingering
we've got
weight one by
great
one
yarn.
ribbed hat.
Yeah, so there's loads of really gorgeous things, and we've got lots of exciting stuff planned for November, and then of course December, Stitch and Summer's back. So before you know it,
Yes.
boom.
Yeah. I mean, we have heaps going on at Get Flocked. So we're wrapping up Flocktober, the month-long celebration. If you are participating, whatever you've done, email it into us, getflockedknitting@gmail.com. We would love to see your pictures. We don't care what you've made. So if you've done the MCAL, regardless of what center clue you have done, we want to see it. So please send it in to us. If you're submitting it to Steven's thing, you need to make sure that you're following Steven's rules, which are the new clue one only. That's his decision. But if you're submitting to Get Flocked, you've probably already committed a lot of time and energy to making your clue however you have. And we're happy to see any version. That's fine. Don't worry. So submit that to us. We would love to see your MCAL, love to see what you've done. We've also got the Alicia Plummer category that I am super behind on. Yikes. And anything crocheted, we'd love to see it. Then next month, and this is a good thing to pay attention to for those of you who might have just heard all about, the Eros yarns and some other ones, because we're running an Alpine Bloom knit-along, and Eros would be perfect for an Alpine Bloom. So you should take a look at that pattern. It's by Caitlin Hunter. We're starting the third week of November on a
Perfect.
Wednesday. I know, right? So giving people a little break, giving them some time to shop around, find what they want to use for it. And then Get Flocked is hosting both in person and on our Instagram page a great knit along for that. And then at the same time, because not all of us want to knit a lacy top color work yoke sweater, mostly me, frankly, it's just not my jam as a garment. So I promised last year that I would do a You Rock knit along. And so I'm finally doing it this year. You're welcome. Yikes. I'm almost as efficient at knit-alongs as you are at pattern writing. We should start a support group.
We should set up a support group.
Yeah. So I'm doing an You Rock knit-along, Suzanne Summers, lots of brioche, lots of tassels. Get excited.
Woohoo! Right. Well, we're going to keep it short and sweet today because Ethan has got to be somewhere.
I gotta go.
But anyway, thank you so much for joining us again this morning. And as I said, watch out. By the time I flick out that email in our newsletter, it'll be all on. Get your entries in to Ethan. And also with the ratio poncho, make sure you get your ratio ponchos all up onto the website. And don't panic if they're not completely finished. I am not a stickler on this in terms of if it's sort of mostly done or mostly so we can see the concept. It'll go in the entries for all our prizes as well. So I don't want you to freak.
Just to be clear, no, that's the same thing with Flocktober. We're not here for stressed. I don't know about you guys. We've all had enough of it. So we are only doing chill things.
Exactly.
Right.
Participation is the key, people. All right. Well, I will catch you here again on Monday. Have a great weekend knitting. And thanks to Ethan. And we will see him again next month here on the Skeinz Diaries. Bye.
Bye.